Hello friends, today's topic is China the greatest security threat to India? My lesson plan includes why it is in the news, relation between India and China in the past, the areas of conflict between two countries, what should India do to mitigate the threat from China, the area of reconciliation, and finally conclusion. Friends, while giving interview to the American correspondent Lex Fridman, the Prime Minister of India said that both countries are trying to bring peace and restore the condition prior to the Galwan episode in 2020. He said that the better relationship between China and India is not only beneficial for both countries but also for the stability of world peace and Asian solidarity. Since 21st century belongs to Asia, and so it is imperative that both countries should prosper together and compete together. There may be differences between two countries, but differences should not escalate into discord or disputes. So a stable cooperation between two countries is very essential for the growth and prosperity of Asia and world. Friends, as you know that in the past both countries had no history of discord. Both countries had people to people exchange. The great Cholas had trade relationship with China in 10th and 11th century AD. Similarly, noted scholars like Fahian visited the court of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya, Huansang visited the court of Emperor Harshvardhan, and so there was an exchange of ideas between two countries. Buddhism went to China from India, and at one point of time this religion was the most prominent religion in China apart from Korea and Japan. Friends, as you know that in 1949 under the leadership of Mao Zedong, China came under the communist rule. India was the first country outside the communist country to give recognition to the communist government in China. It was the firm belief of India under Jawaharlal Nehru that a date between India and China will herald stability in Asia and will keep the big powers at bay in Asian continent. That is why India conceded the suzerainty of Tibet to China in 1950. In 1954, both countries made Panchsheel agreement encompassing territorial and sovereignty guarantee, non-aggression, non-interference in the internal affairs of each other, equality and mutual benefit, and finally peaceful coexistence. It means that although the political condition of India and China is quite different, China had communist rule, it was a totalitarian state under one party rule, while India adopted a democratic setup after independence. It has multi-party government. It adopted mixed economy as its economic policy, where both public sector and private sector could coexist. But in spite of these differences, both decided to cooperate in the field of economy and political affairs. However, the bonhomie between India and China ended in 1959 when Dalai Lama fled from Tibet and took asylum in India. China very much protested. In 1962, China attacked India on the eastern and western borders, thereby capturing Aksai Chin of Jammu and Kashmir, having an area of 38,000 square kilometer. In eastern side, it penetrated deep into Nepal, Now it is called Arunachal Pradesh. But within 1 month, it unilaterally withdraw from eastern border. Critics argue that Chinese attack on India was the result of its desire to dominate in Asia. Since the communist rule in 1949, it was very much isolated in world affairs, and so when it saw that India has become the unquestionable leader of the third world, it attacked upon India to humiliate it. Since India was not prepared for a war with China, it got disastrous defeat at the hands of Chinese. But it also took a lesson. It prepared its military in a better way. Henceforward, it detonated nuclear bomb in 1974 and thereafter in 1998, contending that there was a constant threat from China and the Chinese-Pakistan axis, and so it was necessary to protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Friends, now question is, what are areas of conflict between India and China? The former defense minister George Fernandes said that China was the biggest threat to Indian security rather than Pakistan. Similarly, the chief of the defense staff Bipin Rawat said that China was a biggest threat to India's territorial integrity and sovereignty. He cited the encroachment of China into Indian territory and Chinese-Pakistan collusion. So while Pakistan was a chronic threat, China was a real long-term challenge to India's strategic and security threats. Now, what are the areas of conflict between China and India? Number one, there is a border dispute. As we know that the border extends for around 4,000 kilometers in the Himalayas between India and China. In 1914, Britishers made a treaty with the then Tibet government and drew McMahon Line. But China now doesn't recognize McMahon Line. As I have already told you that in 1962 war, China captured Aksai Chin from Jammu and Kashmir province, and it constructed highways connecting its province Xinjiang to Tibet, thereby flouting the sovereignty of India. China claims the entire Arunachal Pradesh as its own and as a part of South Tibet. China has constructed infrastructure like roads, highways, air bases along the line of actual control. China has been constructing China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC) in order to connect its Xinjiang province to the Arabian Sea at Gwadar port. And this CPEC crosses through the Pak-occupied Kashmir, thereby challenging India's sovereignty. China has also pursued the policy of a string of pearls, whereby it developed naval bases at the ports of Chittagong in Bangladesh, Kyokpu in Myanmar, Gwadar in Pakistan, Hambantota in Sri Lanka, Djibouti in the Horn of Africa. In addition, China has invested a huge amount of money in the Indian Ocean region under the Belt and Road initiatives. It has also pursued the policy of debt trap diplomacy, whereby if the borrowing country fail to repay the loans, their assets are either purchased or pawned by China. These tactics of China in Indian Ocean region countries further limited the scope of Indian diplomacy in these states. China has provided nuclear technology to Pakistan. It has also provided high-grade aircraft like JF-17, and so it seems that it wants to wage proxy war with India through Pakistan. It should be noted that Pakistan is dependent upon China for 70% of its military hardwares. So an axis between Pakistan and China is a matter of great concern, because whenever there would be war, India will have to fight at two fronts. China has established a predominant position by its naval presence in the South China Sea and in the Indian Ocean. The deployment of nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers by China in the Indian Ocean is a constant threat to the sovereignty of India. Friends, as you know that Chinese economy is 5 times greater than that of India. Now it totals 19 trillion American dollar against India's 4 trillion American dollar. And so, taking advantage of its big economy, it has been investing huge amount of money for the upgradation of its military force. Its annual budget for military has been 230 billion American dollar against India's 81 billion American dollar per annum. This military asymmetry is further a cause of concern, because the balance of power is favorable for China vis-a-vis India. In addition, against the regular military force of 14 lakh for India, the Chinese military force consists of more than 20 lakhs. In addition, China has manufactured hypersonic missiles and high-grade aircraft carriers and nuclear submarines, and it deployed these submarines in South China Sea, in the Pacific Ocean and in the Indian Ocean. The bilateral trade between India and China is also in favor of China. Friends, as you know that in 2024, the total trade between India and China was to the tune of 114 billion American dollar, and there was a trade deficit of 83 billion American dollar for India. It means that India imports more from China than it exports to China. This is also a matter of great concern to us. Now, what should India do to mitigate the challenge and threats from China? Number one, there is need for constant engagement in military talks between both countries to de-escalate tensions. An effort should be made to demarcate the boundaries between India and China on permanent basis. The line of actual control should be redrawn to the satisfaction of both parties. There is need for deployment of Indian Army at vulnerable points on borders along with China in order to ward off any kind of incursions into Indian territory. India should try to increase its growth rate so that it should catch up with the Chinese economy. Friends, as you know that in 1980s, the size of economy of both countries, I mean China and India, was the same. But when the policy of liberalization was adopted by Deng Xiaoping in 1978, the Chinese economy grew by leaps and bounds at 10% per annum for the next 30 years. And this resulted into its economy to become second only to the US in nominal GDP term. Hence, it is necessary that India should increase its growth rate probably 7 to 8% per annum by investing in infrastructure, in health and education sector, by giving employment opportunity to youth. It should be noted that the demographic dividends are very much favorable to India. As you know that by 2031, the benefit of demographic dividends would end for China. But for India, the benefits of demographic dividends would go up to 2049. So between 2031 to 2049, India has the opportunity to catch up the Chinese economy. As you know that when there is adverse demographic dividends, there is a greater dependency load, and so there is decrease in the growth of the economy. Looking into the huge investment by Chinese in its military force, India should also increase its military expenditure commensurate with its size of economy. India should upgrade its missile technology. It should develop hypersonic missiles like China. It should further strengthen the mountainous course in the Himalayan region. The long borders along the Himalayan regions should be strengthened with better technology and better logistics to match Chinese infrastructure and its logistics. Friends, what are areas of reconciliation between two countries? Both countries should resolve their border disputes amicably. Buffer zone along the border should be earmarked. There should be agreement on patrolling protocols along the borders. Better communication should be established between different layers of the government so that there should not be any untoward incident. Both countries should further strengthen the multilateral cooperation by way of BRICS, Shanghai Cooperation Organization and G20. Both countries should pursue the policy of de-dollarization to reduce dependence upon the US dollar. Both countries should raise the question of restructuring of the World Bank and IMF, where maximum benefits are accrued by developed countries. China should also stop proxy war by supporting Pakistan. It should reduce giving military hardwares, nuclear technology to Pakistan. Everybody knows that because of the support of China, Pakistan could be able to make nuclear bomb. It should also stop vetoing in the UN Security Council with regard to Pakistani sponsored terrorist activities in the Jammu Kashmir Valley. Both countries should cooperate in the field of artificial intelligence, semiconductors and cyber security. Both countries should promote cultural tourism and people-to-people exchanges. Friends, now I conclude. The trust deficit between two countries must be removed by continued dialogue. Both countries should understand that the continued hostility and escalation of tension between both countries would not be beneficial for the Asian solidarity and the world peace. Since both countries are rising powers and 21st century belongs to China, India and other Asian countries, they should settle their disputes amicably so that there should not be involvement of third power. However, India must keep its military, economic and diplomatic preparedness vis-a-vis China so that it should not be caught napping like in 1962 Sino-Indian War. It should be noted that it is the deterrence that heralds peace more effectively than anything else. So friends, now I have concluded my lecture. If you have any suggestion, please share and subscribe my channel AJ IAS Academy Indore. I shall be very much grateful to you. Thank you very much.